The Ultimate Husband. By Sky Kissing Wolf.
Episode 166. Daryl. Clifford shouted, unable to hold back his surprise. What was going on? Why was Daryl here, he wondered. Clifford remembered clearly that Daryl rode an electric bike to the reunion. Was Daryl here to attend the celebration as well? Right, Daryl's here to accompany his wife to present her gift. Clifford thought. A live-in son-in-law that's life revolves around his wife all day was the only thing Daryl was good for. Clifford could not resist taking a few looks at Lily. She's such a beauty. Her figure was perfect and extremely sexy. That beautiful face was comparable to that of a celebrity. Daryl, that brat really got lucky. However, rumor has it that this brat has not even touched his wife after 3 years of marriage. Everyone in Donghai City knows about this. Ha. Clifford thought. Old class monitor. Daryl smiled as he walked over to greet Clifford. You guys know each other? Dax asked. Before Daryl could answer, Clifford laughed internally. Everyone in Donghai City knows the Linden family's infamous live-in son-in-law, he said with disdain. It was an embarrassment to be classmates with this brat. In such a classy setting, being associated with this brat was utterly embarrassing to Clifford. Daryl was startled at Clifford's words. Did he offend him? They were classmates for so many years. What was going on? At that moment, the people around them burst into laughter. After going on for so long, it turns out that Daryl was just Linden's live-in son-in-law. Lily was somewhat unhappy and said to Daryl softly, "Who is this guy?" Daryl let out a straight laugh and said casually, "He's just a joker." Daryl did not hold back, seeing that Clifford had no respect for him. Clifford laughed coldly. This idiotic Daryl. He's just a toy boy, and yet he dares challenge me, he thought to himself. Meanwhile, old Master Sanders watched them with interest. His grandson had told him that he made a friend named Daryl. It should be the young man in front of him. Saul could not help but be reminded of his younger self when he looked at Daryl. He was a poor man who was looked down on by many people. However, if someone were to push him to his limits, he would fight till the end. Today he would like to see if Daryl was the type to back down or fight back. He wanted to know whether Daryl was fit to be his grandson's friend. Daryl, who's the true joker between us? If I'm not mistaken, you're just here to accompany your wife to present her gift. You should know that the only reason you're here is because of the Lindens. If not for them, you would be worth less than dog shit. You wouldn't even have the right to speak. Clifford said. Since you put it that way, I'm guessing you're here to present your gift too. Daryl laughed. I. Clifford blushed slightly and proceeded to puff up his chest. Of course. I'm here on behalf of my godmother. Do you know who she is? I'm afraid that you'd be surprised if I told you. Godmother. Ha ha. Clifford was a grown man, and yet he was still talking about his godmother. Moreover, he was only here on behalf of someone else, yet he acted so high and mighty. This brat was hilarious. Daryl thought. So, who's your godmother? Introduce her to me, would you? Daryl asked cheerfully. Do you think you deserve to know her name? Even if I did tell you, you wouldn't be able to get close to her, you're only fit to do house chores. Clifford scoffed. In an instant, everyone sitting there nodded their heads in agreement. When Clifford presented his gift, everyone had seen the name on it. Indeed, this brat's godmother was no ordinary person. Meanwhile, Daryl, who was a live-in son-in-law, still insisted on challenging Clifford. Such a stupid act, the crowd thought. Those who are of a lower standing must learn to endure. When you get scolded, you should just bear with it. With his face full of pride, Clifford pointed towards the table. You see that? That's from my godmother. On the table was a set of exquisite porcelain wares. They were lustrous with intricate designs, and one look was enough to tell you that they were not cheap. Daryl glanced at the porcelain wares. The porcelain wares were genuine, and the set would cost at least a few $1,000,000. It seemed that Clifford's godmother was indeed a person of power. Episode 167. Clifford called himself a man of success at the last class reunion, but it turned out he just has a good godmother. How was it? How was my godmother's gift? Clifford looked at Darryl triumphantly as if he had the upper hand. It is indeed a good gift, but no matter how good it is, it's not a gift from you. What do you have to be proud of, flaunting your godmother's gift here? You are pretty shameless. Darryl smiled. At this moment, everyone in the hall focused their eyes on Clifford. No matter how this young man showed off, it was still a gift from his godmother. Damn it. Clifford cursed to himself. Noticing everyone's gaze on him, Clifford was angry, but he did not show it. Who said there wasn't a gift from me? Clifford stood up, strode over to Dax, and took out an exquisite gift box. President Sanders, it's my honor to be here today to celebrate your grandfather's birthday. This is a token of my appreciation. Please accept it. Clifford opened the gift box and said respectfully. After Clifford said all this, he did not forget to turn toward Darryl and give him a provoking look. Some of the people in the hall stood up immediately when they saw what was in the gift box. A pair of white jade pendants was delicately placed in the gift box. The jade pendants were snow white and shiny without a trace of impurities, and the birds on it were very delicately carved and lifelike. From the looks of the carving technique of the jade pendants, is it from the Ming Dynasty? Someone asked. Everyone in the hall was society's elites, and they all knew something about antique artifacts. The others nodded one after another upon hearing that. The price of the pair of jade pendants was probably no less than $2 million. This young man was good, and a person who was willing to present such a gift truly knows how to socialize. You have good eyes. Yes, this is from the Ming Dynasty. I knew that old Master Sanders was interested in antiques. So, I purposely bought this pair of jade pendants from a private collector, hoping that he would like it. Clifford smiled. The pair of jade pendants were so exquisite. Even someone who did not know anything about antiques would love it when they saw it. You spent a lot of money on the jade pendants, right? Someone asked. Clifford smiled slightly and said casually, it's not much. It's only $5 million. This young man was clever. He knew that he would get to network with the Sanders family closely with these $5 million, which was indeed worth it. A few of the guests nodded silently and continued admiring the pendants. Even Lily, who was standing on the side, could not help but glance at it. Only Darryl remained silent. When he saw everyone admiring it incessantly, he shook his head and laughed. What are you laughing at? Clifford became angry all of a sudden. I wanted to ask how much did you spend on the pair of jade pendants? Darryl grinned. Clifford was stunned. Are you deaf? $5 million. Didn't you hear it? Why? Is $5 million such an astronomical number for a live-in son-in-law? Darryl subtly shook his head and looked at Clifford arrogantly. That's too much. As soon as the words were out of his mouth, Lily quickly pulled him and whispered, Darryl, stop talking nonsense. Although he had a good relationship with Dax, the people who came here today were here to celebrate old Master Sanders' birthday. It was a special occasion. Besides, all the people here said the jade pendants were good. So please don't mess things up. Lily continued. Instantly, everyone looked towards Darryl. A few of the ladies were confused. The price was too much. What was the meaning of this? Did Clifford lose money? It was a pair of beautiful jade pendants. $5 million were not too much even if it was a bit expensive, right? People thought. Darryl, what do you mean? Tell me then, how much are these jade pendants worth? Clifford replied dismissively. Darryl stretched out 2 fingers. What? Clifford thought. $2 million. What do you know about it? This pair of jade pendants are only worth $2 million. Are you crazy? Clifford sneered. Darryl. Do you study antiques? Dax asked surprised. It seemed that Dax's comrade was quite knowledgeable. Darryl nodded and smiled, I know a little bit. Episode 168. Clifford was immediately angered. He pointed at Darryl. Darryl, shut up. You don't know anything. What nonsense are you talking about? What makes you think it's worth only $2 million? Damn it, this man was crazy. Clifford thought. Clifford's uncle bought the jade pendants, and his uncle has been collecting antiques for decades. The actual price of these jade pendants were $3 million. He only pretended that it cost $5 million just to show off. However, Daryl said that it was only worth $2 million, which Clifford thought was total bullshit. Daryl shook his head. There's another name for this kind of paired jade pendants. Do you know what it's called? Everyone was curious and shook their heads. Daryl sighed and explained they were called Gemini pendants in ancient times. It was a unique dowry a woman could give for marriage during the Ming Dynasty. The Ming Dynasty was very much concerned with etiquette, so the Gemini pendants were highly adored. After the woman brings the jade pendants to her husband's house, one piece will be given to the husband and the other piece the woman will wear. Also, their names would be engraved on each other's pendant to symbolize a harmonious union lasting 100 years. Daryl picked up the 2 jade pendants and took a closer look at them. So, the real Gemini pendants of the Ming Dynasty would have engravings on them, and this, unfortunately, does not. They're fake. Daryl's voice was soft, but everyone in the hall could hear it. Everyone was stunned. Daryl's explanation behind the Gemini pendants made sense, and it was even more detailed than what those antique appraisers had said. As everyone sighed internally, they came back to their senses, and doubts arose in their minds. Could it be that the pair of Gemini pendants were fake? They thought. As expected, there's no engraving. Dax said, frowning, as he inspected the jade pendants that he took from Daryl's hand. The surrounding people immediately gathered around to take a look. Lily also went closer. As expected, there were no traces of any engraving at all on the pair of jade pendants except for those delicate carvings. Clifford's face flushed as his eyes flickered. He could not accept what just happened. What does the absence of the engraving prove? You said it yourself, this kind of Gemini pendant is a dowry from a married woman. What if the owner of this pair of jade pendants died before she got married? How would she get it engraved without a husband? He sneered, pointing at Daryl. Daryl was very impressed with Clifford's wit. Yes, indeed. What if the woman had not married? The guests questioned themselves. A few of the guests had also come back to their senses and cast a questioning glance at Daryl. Daryl laughed and stared at Clifford as if he was a fool. What you said sounds very logical, but I can tell you that this kind of Gemini pendants was made half a month before a woman's marriage. Her own family would specifically hire highly skilled craftsmen to make it for her. Daryl shrugged his shoulders. If you insist on telling me that the woman died of sudden illness in the month and a half before she married, then I have nothing more to say. Clifford was quiet, a layer of cold sweat seeped out from his forehead. Also, I want to correct your mistake. Daryl took a step forward and said with a smile. What is it? Daryl grinned. Elle simply stretched out 2 fingers, but I didn't say it was worth $2 million. What I meant was that the jade pendants are worth only $200. If you don't believe me, take a look for yourself. Crack. Daryl immediately threw the jade pendants to the ground as he finished talking, and they shattered into 1,000,000 pieces. The jade pendants were shattered, and you could clearly see the glue on the inside of the jade pieces. It was obvious that they were fake. The whole hall was silent. Clifford's body shook, and his face was full of embarrassment. Clap, clap, clap. At that moment, Nancy could not hold back an applaud, and thunderous applause followed her. Bravo, bravo, the crowd cheered. Clifford clenched his fists tightly and yelled, Daryl, even though it's an imitation, it's still a gift. How about you? You're only here because of your relationship with the Lindens. Did you even bring a gift? This stupid Daryl made me look like a fool. I won't let you off so easily, thought Clifford. Daryl had sent out a text message when he was on the way down. It was probably time for it to arrive. What? Did he bring a gift, too? People thought. Daryl, you just found out about old Master Sanders' birthday. Where did you get the present? Lily tapped her foot anxiously. Episode 169. Lily was truly anxious. Daryl would be ridiculed again if he could not get a gift. Even if he had a good relationship with Dax, it would be inappropriate to make up nonsense. Haha. Daryl, where's your gift? Are you still bragging about it? Your wife doesn't even believe you. Come on, bring out your gift, and let me have a look. Clifford laughed loudly. It should be here soon. Darryl looked at his watch. I had someone send it over. Had someone sent it over? Ha ha ha, that's hilarious. Clifford thought. Clifford clutched his stomach and laughed, ha ha. Everyone. You guys don't know this, but Darryl rode a lousy electric bike to our class reunion a few days ago. No one even acknowledged him. He doesn't have any friends who's going to help him with his gifts. Don't tell me you ordered delivery. Ha ha. Some of the girls could not hold back when they heard this and chuckled. President Dickinson is here, a voice shouted from outside the hall. Everyone looked towards the door immediately. Then, Emily walked in briskly, dressed formally, wearing a pencil skirt and high heels. Emily was gorgeous. The skirt accentuated her figure perfectly. She didn't just exude sex appeal, she also had an air of superiority around her. After all, she was a well-known powerful woman, and Posia Eleganza was highly successful in the cosmetic industry. However, Emily looked very anxious at the moment. Godmother. What are you doing here? Clifford stood up all of a sudden, his face looking dismayed. What's going on? Clifford wondered. Clifford's godmother said that she had something important to deal with today, and that was why she sent him to give the gift on her behalf. Clifford was surprised when he saw his godmother approaching. However, Emily was in a hurry and did not even look at Clifford. She walked right past him and placed the gift in her hand on the table. The gift was a set of finest celebratory tea leaves. This celebratory tea leaf seemed to be from the Heavenly series. A set is worth a few $1,000,000. Didn't President Dickinson send her godson to give the gift on her behalf? Why did she give another one? The crowd gossiped. Everyone in the hall looked at each other in confusion. While everyone was discussing among themselves, Emily turned around and walked up to Darryl. Mr. Darryl, I'm sorry, there was traffic jam on the way here. I placed the gift you asked me to prepare on the table. Emily explained, leaning forward slightly. The hall was in an uproar. Everyone at the venue was dumbfounded. Their mouths were agape in disbelief. Mr. Darryl. Emily called this live-in son-in-law Mr. Darryl. She was a few years older than Darryl, the crowd thought. Lily's body trembled as she became weak in the knees and was unable to stand still. What was going on? Clifford thought, shocked as he stood to the side with his face pale white. Godmother called him Mr. Darryl, he thought. Clifford acknowledged Emily as his godmother 3 years ago. Although this woman was only 5 years older than he was nobody without her. She had brought him up. In the past few years that he's been with her, he never seen her so polite to anyone before. This. Clifford thought in disbelief. It's not too late. You arrived just in time. Is Clifford your godson? Darryl said, faking a smile. Emily nodded immediately. Yes. Emily and Darryl had known each other for many years, and she knew his temper. If nothing were wrong, he would not have asked. She glared at Clifford as she answered. Your godson is such a great man. He's been so arrogant and disrespectful to others with you supporting him. Darryl said slowly. The huge hall was completely silent. What? As expected, it was this bastard who had gotten Clifford in trouble. Emily's delicate face turned pale in an instant, and she became weak in the knees. Mr. Darryl, I'm sorry. It's my fault for his misbehavior, Emily apologized hurriedly. At that moment, Clifford returned to his senses. Doubt and displeasure clouded his face. Godmother, why are you apologizing to him? He's just a live-in son-in-law, he shouted. Shut up. Emily yelled, interrupting him. She rushed towards Clifford in her heels with a cold expression. Slap. Episode 170. Emily brutally slapped Clifford across his face without any warning. The slap instantly left a palm print on Clifford's face. Godmother. Why did you slap me? Clifford choked as he covered his face. He was stunned. His godmother had pampered him so much all these years and treated him as her biological son. He felt aggrieved for being slapped out of nowhere. Why do you think I slapped you? You almost got us into big trouble. Emily fumed as she slapped him twice more. Nobody should mess with Daryl. Emily would not be who she is today if not for Daryl. Go, kneel, and apologize to Mr. Daryl. Emily huffed after slapping Clifford a few more times. Clifford's body trembled, and he dared not to ask any more questions at this moment. He walked over and knelt in front of Daryl, forcing out a smile. I was wrong. I'm sorry. The other guests in the hall could not help but draw a sharp breath. Emily's aura was indeed strong. It was enough to make men feel inferior. Who would dare speak up against such a powerful woman? Daryl sat there, emotionless, as he stared at Clifford. The entire hall was silent at the moment as everyone's gaze was focused on Daryl. Emily stood to the side as she bit her lips and dared not say a word upon seeing Daryl's silence. Ring. Ring. Suddenly, Daryl's phone rang. He took out his phone and saw that it was his mother, Luna. The past few days, he's been out and has not gone to visit his parents. Why did his mother suddenly call? After picking up the phone, he heard Luna cry out suddenly before he could speak. Daryl, quick. Come quickly. Save your dad, save your dad. Luna cried. Daryl's hair stood on its ends upon hearing her words. Mom, don't panic. What's going on? Where are you? He replied. Was his father not being treated at the hospital? Did his condition worsen? He thought. We're at the Darby residence. Come quickly. Your dad is in big trouble. Come quickly. Luna burst into tears, hanging up as soon as the words were out of her mouth. Daryl's mind went blank in an instant. Daryl, what's wrong? Dax walked up quickly and asked Daryl. Something's happened to my parents. The sun was bright, and the men and women on the street were wearing light clothes. However, there was an eerie air of coldness at the Darby residence. Old Master Darby was sitting on the chair with no expression on his face. Nearly 1,000 people were standing next to him, and everyone in the Darby family was there. Daryl's father was firmly held down on the stage, and his lips were pale. A burly man stood behind him, wielding a cane in his hand. The cane was soaked in oil. It was very tough and even had barbs on it. Any swipe on the body would cause a bloody gash. Snap. The cane whipped Daniel's body, and blood soaked his clothes. Luna was also being held tightly by someone. Her eyes were blurred with tears. Daniel, I've been cultivating in seclusion for all these years and haven't been aware of the Darby family matters. Is this how you teach your son, to violate his younger sister-in-law? Such a disgraceful thing to do. Where's Daryl? Old Master Darby asked coldly. Even though Daniel was his son, Old Master Darby was not merciful. He had always been very strict in disciplining his family. Daniel shook his head, his lips were pale white. Daryl would never do such a thing. Never. You're still stubborn. Yumi took a step forward. Do you think we're all lying? Is Daryl the only good guy in the Darby family, and we're all villains who make things up? Daryl is a beast. He violated his younger sister-in-law. This is the truth, yet you still deny it. Bullshit. Daniel gritted his teeth tightly and spat on the ground. You still refuse to admit your mistakes, huh? Keep whipping him until he admits his mistakes. Old Master Darby shouted in anger. The burly man behind Daniel raised the cane in his hand again. Snap. Loud snapping echoed through the room, and Daniel's body recoiled in an instant. He gritted his teeth tightly. He did not shout, but cold sweats covered his face. Stop whipping him. You guys stop it. Luna wailed as she tried to rush over to protect Daniel. However, she was held down by a few people and was unable to move as tears streamed down her face.
For more episode, don't forget to subscribe.